Okay, it is 5 p.m. Meeting of the Public Works Building Committee is called to order. Please rise and face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. First order of business. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes of the previous meeting? I'll take that as a yes.
Yep.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Smith and second by Mr. Salvucci. I was not present for that meeting, so as it appears my vote isn't necessary, I will abstain. All in favor of the minute?
I was not either.
You weren't either.
Well, now your vote is.
No, it isn't. We still have a majority.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor of accepting the minutes as presented, please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, it is 402. Got that out of the way. Due to a miscue, the agenda does not contain a notice for payment of invoices. However, at this point in the stage, every meeting should be expected to have invoices to act on. So I'm going to present invoices that have been reviewed by CMS for approval.
I don't.
The first invoice is requisition number 3. It is a correction to the previous requisition in the amount of $499,256.35. Scott, is there anything to talk about on this requisition?
You can if you want to. We don't need to. There was
Nothing out of order.
nope. I mean, I'll just originally, like as Frank said, this was an amended requisition. They originally requisitioned for stored raw steel material, which isn't allowed in the contract. So they pulled that out, and they'll rec for that at a later date when when it's fabricated and ready to ship, or when it's on site, hopefully.
Anyone wish to discuss invoice requisition number 3? Seeing none, all in favor of approving requisition number 3 for $499,256.35, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It is unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, just while we're still there, do you think it is necessary for this committee to approve the pencil rec when it has already been approved through the process that the committee already agreed to?
Well, this isn't a pencil rec. This is the actual authorization.
Right. I mean, the money has been authorized, and the check is, I would imagine, being processed at this point, right? I mean,
No, because this amended one just came through.
okay.
So, no, not yet. But
The timing of this meeting works out well for payments where they put the pencil rec in near the end of the month, like a week before. We'll review it, and then by the time we get to this meeting,
Okay.
it should have probably just got signed, within the past week, and then the full committee can just vote on it. That's
Very good.
standard practice.
Rick, I'll look into that as a general question, but I believe the committee has to vote
Okay.
to pay requisitions. Bruce?
Could I have a definition of a pencil rec? Seeing that I
It
haven't
is
built
the
one before?
preliminary, it is the preliminary submission of what the contractor intends to bill us and it's reviewed, then it's submitted formally. Our OPM reviews it. Hopefully, we look at it, maybe
Lots of eyes on it.
question some items, and as Scott mentioned earlier, the original requisition contained a request for payment for stored materials, which is steel. As Mr. Anderson noted in the last meeting, it looked to me to be pretty raw steel.
Yeah. So
And it was stored in Canada, and our contract says it's gotta be here.
Yeah, I did see that, and I saw pictures of it and
So-
things like that. It's just
So
Terminology.
we did, a few of us, as a core group, reached out to council to discuss the advisability of making that payment. But fortunately, the contractor, who also consulted with his counsel, notified Scott that he was going to withdraw that request from the rec. So it simplified things.
Right.
I'm very happy to say.
Yeah. We're not in the business of loaning money, just.
Yeah, the other provision is it has to be paid for before we pay it.
Right.
So with that being said, requisition number 3 is approved. There is an invoice for Saybrook Management LLC for $10,200.22, so that Mary Beth isn't left out. Can you talk about that one, Mary Beth?
Oh, you want me to talk about it?
Sure.
Okay. So, this was associated with the existing oil water separator that, was, needed to be cleaned out. And we looked into the documents, and although Page does own removing the tank, it would be typical that, the tank would be in a generally clean state, and it doesn't seem to have been maintained for quite a few years. So
This was the chicken and the egg. It had to
Yeah.
be drained.
it had to be drained. So these costs will be absorbed under miscellaneous expenses. of the
Any
budget.
further questions?
So I did see the emails go back and forth when this first came up, and then Paige said no.
Yeah,
It's
and
not
I had an
us,
email out to Greg, and I followed up with him on a call, and we spent a half hour on a call discussing it, and we determined that there wasn't enough there to pin it on Page to have him do it. So,
Okay,
but this doesn't include this. This is just for the cleanup costs. The site contractor still owned the cost of removing the tank and everything, so that's outside of this.
okay.
All right. So any further discussion? Is there a motion to approve $10,200.22?
Motion?
Mary Beth?
I'll second.
Dan?
Second.
Seeing no further discussion, all in favor? It is unanimous. Third, construction monitoring. Ah, they found us. Obviously, our able-bodied owners, managers would like to be paid. And have requested $21,794.50. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Just tell you,
So,
that we couldn't get a second on it.
yeah. So the invoice that's in the packet, is that the one, which one are we using?
So the $42.95 is a reimbursable for GCI. That's to administer the testing services, which is the way I believe we had set it up with. We set it up.
Reimbursement number 3.
Oh,
Okay, sorry. It should be near the end.
oh, I see, the two added together. In the-
17.5 is the standard request.
Okay.
All right, so we have do we have a motion?
We do now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Mary
motion by
Beth.
Rick,
Yeah.
Mary Beth, I'm sorry, second by Dan. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
It is unanimous.
Thank you.
I believe the next item on the agenda is an update from our OPM.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, why don't I, okay, so real quick, we distributed a monthly report and I will email this out as well with some pictures. We're gonna add some photos. There's not like a lot of, cool stuff to look at right now. It's just, there's not much there right now. But we will put some pictures in this and distribute this. Maybe I'll turn it over to Tom since he's on site daily. He can just tell you what's been going on for the past month and what is expected for the the month coming forward. And I'll add into that if there's anything missing.
So, busy on site, mostly subgrade work. A lot of playing in the dirt, so to speak. Caissons are getting chipped right now. Before that, we had obviously the demolition of the building, the demolition of the slab, the pre-existing foundation slab that was there. That was all removed according to spec. Everything that was recyclable got separated on site and was taken away accordingly. For the sewer line, we completed the loop around the whole site, so that's good. We were able to pressure test last week, some chlorination. And then it has been a little bit of a focus on some of the caissons that were in there.
So they're just getting geared up to do like with Helicals, the company that's going to do the ground improvements. So they'll come in, drill a bunch of holes, pack them with aggregate, which stabilizes the site, and there was some kind of coordination between the existing caissons and the foundation, and there's some slight design modifications that are going on with the foundation that's going to be picked up by Page. They're working directly with
Helical.
well, they're working with the structural engineer on that. And
You mentioned they were chipping away at the existing caissons. I noticed that today. I was just kind of curious why are they chipping away? They're going to reuse those. Why would they chip them?
so there's basically there's a foundation plan, and then there's the site improvements, basically stabilizing the site. The ground improvements is a delegated design, and Helical owns that design. When they looked at where the caissons were and whatever, they determined that they were sort of in their way, like they weren't going to provide any. They couldn't count on them to for loading and stuff like that. So they're just doing all aggregate piers, and I think the elevation of those was slightly different than where they.
There was I think it was a 3 to 5 inch difference in each one of them on each.
So they're just chipping it down to coordinate with the foundation plan.
So they're not going to use the caissons at all now? They're going to do all heliac all around it?
No, so some of those caissons were only chipped down partially, and what's there now will be left in the ground and worked around. So I think it's 300. Don't quote me on this. I think it's roughly 300 micropilings that are going in. So Helical was actually out here on Friday, and they said they'd probably be able to do anywhere between 50 to 100 a day. So you're looking at probably a week's worth of work, and they might have an opening in the mid-July area on the timeline. So that's something that they're going to have to talk to Paige about. Obviously, we'll talk about going forward, but. As far as the caissons, the locations of them will remain where the existing ones are. Everything that's chipped has been brought up to the hill and will be capped with the granular fill. As far as that goes, the screener is off-site. All the loam has been screened, and the soil conditions and materials are being attended to in the right way.
So, yeah, is just to going back, I haven't seen the latest plan from, the revised structural plan that Paige has been, working through with Sims, so, I'm not sure if they're gonna use the caissons, they may just abandon them, or they may be picking, engaging with them, I'm not sure, but it's delegated design, so.
Just curious, right from the beginning, thought that was a big thing that we're going to save money by using the existing caissons.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
You know,
that ship sailed.
the ship sailed. Okay.
Well, we're not spending any more money. I mean, we'd be spending more money to remove them, most likely. I don't think you would remove them. You'd probably just abandon them. But
Right. As long as they're below
Yeah.
raising kids.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Curious.
They cut into South Essex Street, right? Is that the sewage?
They've done several.
Right, because
It's been both water
And utility.
do those run right down the middle underneath? Because we haven't redone that street yet, have we?
Yes.
Right, now we just cut into it.
Well, it's been probably, I
5
would say Essex Street was paved maybe 7 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, we're still in pretty good shape though.
Oh yeah, it was definitely in good shape. We were kind of talking about the other day that maybe when the project's done, they'll use, if it's not part of the project, they'll maybe use some Chapter 90 money and do a curb-to-curb paving from where the office is now to, beyond the construction zone.
Well, we had talked about that earlier on.
Yeah.
Just so we don't have a bunch of
In the
trenches.
beginning of our meetings about what we're going to do with Essex Street.
Yeah.
So,
at the end of the day, they should own the permanent patch and it should be flush. You know what I mean? If it's a bump and stuff, we'll have them address it.
Yeah. No, I just thought the water and sewer lines didn't go down the middle because there's nothing across the. Well, yeah, you get the VFW there.
There
Yeah.
was we were gonna try to not go all the way back to the street for the sewer, but the inverts didn't work.
Yeah.
So they had to chase it back. We owned it anyways, but
Yeah.
we were thinking we could avoid, maybe get a credit for one of the structures and pick it up. But like I said, it just didn't work for the inverts and.
And they had to go into the far lane for a drainage structure too, so.
now we continue to add, choose my words carefully, detritus to the hill, the back of
Yeah.
DPW. Do we have any issues with DEP on that?
As far as I know, we don't have anything. Andrea, I talk to her at least 3 times a week. If we are doing,
So the LSP is recording and tracking what we're doing there. We're not gonna have Lakeville come knocking on our door next year and say, hey, what did you do? I hold my breath every time someone drives by that.
No, we're doing it under her
directive and supervision.
supervision, and DEP is monitoring the whole thing as well. So, for example, the tank that got yanked out of the ground, we don't know where that soil's going yet. She's working with them to see if that can be something that can be put up there, or if
Well, I assume a small part of it that's contaminated will have to be
Well, it's currently
disposed of.
unit prices for that and stuff. So
on site still. It's underneath poly to be protected, and it's in the laydown area for contaminated soils on the back of the pavement. So it's protected there now. I've reminded Pompeo pretty much every day, hey, let's just keep some stone on that plastic, make sure that thing doesn't get exposed. So
Are we disturbing the area where the fuel pumps are in any way?
I'm trying to think where the fuel pumps.
Where the old fuel pumps were?
left side.
Where the current fuel pumps are?
No.
No.
The fuel depot, you mean?
You
Yeah.
mean the gas station where the police come in and the guys?
Yeah.
No.
Because that's a registered site with DEP.
There's
We have monitoring
Leash.
also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't compare anything with that.
So I want to make sure we're not
There's no
We're
disturbance.
not
That's
opening any doors there. Okay.
She knows between her and DEP, they know the whole site where everything is.
It's also a zone 2 aquifer for having to back there, so. Not a lot going on in that site. And Mary Beth has pointed out, and I think some of us are aware of this, some may not, that due to a processing error, the electrician was paid twice for a job, once by the contractor and once by us.
I don't think, did he cash that check?
No.
My last recollection was that we were going to ask him to return the town check that
Right.
he received. Do we know if that's happened?
I corresponded with him, and after talking to Mary Beth, and he said he was going to return the town check. I said just return the town check, just pay the check.
guess so.
I don't think it has any impact on what we're doing here. I
$425.
really don't want to get overly involved in that, as long as we know that the town treasurer has been notified to expect it
I
back.
put Ken on the
And
response.
he should notify us if he doesn't receive it.
Okay.
So that's just an informational piece. I don't think any action is necessary by this committee.
And that money goes back into our budget.
Back into the lines from which it came, yeah.
It was taken out of 06. It was taken out of the project budget.
Yeah.
Right, before the money came in for the settlement.
Yeah, we didn't realize that Pompeo just paid it. They just
I didn't even know he got a copy of
the
the bill.
town pay it because it was a small amount of money.
Right.
We figured it would be they would, if we said anything, that they would
Right.
charge us for it anyways, and then it would be marked up and whatever. And
Yep.
Anything that goes through the contractor is going to have premium associated with it. So.
I mean, we may still see them bills for it potentially, but I don't know.
I would expect they will if we take the check back.
Yeah.
All right.
Possible.
Is there anything else?
I mean, any questions on the look-ahead schedule? I can give you, there's no questions on the look-ahead schedule. There's not much I can't give you really an overview on the overall schedule, other than that, the contractor had requested I think it was 22 days. So they put out PCO number 2, potential change order number 2, had zero cost with it for a time extension that pushed out the completion date of March 30th to April 21st, 2025. And there was also a PCO, just while I'm on that, for a credit of $15,000 for the white interior color of the panels. That's been approved. So we don't have any formal change orders yet, but I'm sure by the next meeting we'll have change order number 1 that will have those PCOs wrapped up in it. Going over to the overall budget, we're at about 12.9% expended to date. This budget includes the invoices that we put forth today. If you have any questions on that, it's on page 3 of the monthly report. Just construction's at 9.5%. We've spent a little money in testing. We've updated I believe I'm up to date with all the other, architectural engineering, environmental costs.
Well, this will certainly help going forward.
Yeah.
And if we could circulate it in advance of the meeting,
Sure.
give people an opportunity to review it and maybe formulate any questions they may have. Rick, you had something.
Yeah, just two things with respect to the change in the schedule. One is if we're extending the project timeline, the percentage of the amount of requisition also should be considered in the next pencil rec. I mean, I think the last pencil rec we were at 17%, right? That's based on the completion date being March 30th. Should we be mindful of that percentage if we're extending the project timeline?
I think the unstated issue is it's going to cost us some more money at the end.
Well, that was my other part of the question, was that we've also heard that the general contractor is going to put in another PCO for general conditions for the
Right.
extended time, right? So do we have any idea of what the financial implications of that are?
I think we have some idea, but I think it's too early to, I think it's kind of too early to put a number on it, and I think they have a lot of, basically they have to prove that it caused a schedule delay. We have to look at, what they put in the original baseline schedule and how they performed over that period of time, regardless of, the delay in the beginning. If they lost time, partway through that on the critical path, then we'll be reviewing that and, and pushing back. And, we probably would try to work collaboratively with them to, see what we can do to help them or encourage them to compress the schedule and give us a recovery schedule and whatnot. So, I mean, we're due a schedule update from them. They did promise us one. We haven't seen it yet, so we'll push on that and see where we're at. But until we actually get a change order for extended general conditions, then
And quantifying what.
Yeah, I think it's just good for the rest of the committee to be aware that there's some potential for some extra general condition costs because of the delay on starting the project. That's really goes back to that, So
We're also going to have to be pretty attentive to what's submitted because in a couple of project meetings that Rick and I were involved in, it was indicated that the issue of National Grid and power controls were adding time to the project. That's not our responsibility. That's the builder's responsibility. While we did step in, we being Paper Week, and harassing Joe Carroll, who's the executive vice president of National Grid in this area, and he was very good about getting back to us. It seemed that they weren't pursuing things the way they should have. That's what the bottom line was. By the time I got back into the second call, I said, well, time out. Joe had indicated to me he was going to have the Hanover supervisor reach out to Bruce and Dennis, and they were going to put pieces together, and we were talking about having power lines removed from poles on the site to allow the contractor to do more field work, but that's something that he should have taken care of.
right. So it's good that the OPM is definitely looking out for the financial interests of the town, as well as the architect. It comes up at every meeting that
Absolutely.
this contractor, in my estimation, has some financial difficulties, and they're
Well, I
looking.
don't know if the difficulties is, I guess he'd prefer to use our money rather than.
That's what I mean. So, like I said, just trying to keep the board updated as to how
I'm not shocked. Ah, yes. I'm sure you've never seen that before, right? So, is there anything else that needs to be brought up, Bruce?
So there's a drainage issue, and I just sent to Mary Beth, Frank, and Rick and Dan some pictures of it. I think Tom and Scott had seen it in person, and Dennis, I think, had sent me pictures a while ago. So there's there's an open swale that came down from behind the, up almost as far back as the dog kept, and it ran behind the 2 salt sheds. It's just an open swale, and then it ran about as far as probably 50-something feet away from the back of the DPW office. Then it went into a pipe and turned, or a manhole, and turned 90 degrees and went into the DPW yard, into the drainage system within the DPW yard. So now that drainage system has been removed. So we got some heavy downpours recently. The area where they have the office trailers flooded. And so I think something has to be done with that rainwater, because the rainwater has always ran down through there and out. And I don't know if it was oversight when they were doing the civil engineering or whatever. But if that's not taken care of, we'll have flooding into the salt shed. Just get all salt all wet and everything else. The other part of the story is that our neighbor on the other side of the fence, which is only like 10 feet away from this open swale, has a catch basin in a low area in his parking lot, and that catch basin by pipe goes over into our yard, and his drain water went out through our yard for who knows how long. Like, I don't have any plans of it or anything like that, but I'm assuming it was, before they built the Saucony's transfer station. That one particular catch basin handles tremendous amount of water because he has a bunch of asphalt around his office. His driveway runs downhill at substantial incline, and it's asphalt. So any water that falls from the sky goes to that catch basin, and it's picking up some water from their neighbor's asphalt area, and it runs underneath the chain link fence into that catch basin.
How could it not affect the police station?
No, this is the police station?
That's too far away.
Coming from behind Murphy's Land.
No, this is Saucony's.
Saucony.
Salt shed. So picture this salt shed.
Yeah.
And an open swale behind the salt shed.
Excuse me.
Between Saucony's yard and our yard. And then it went and it turned at a manhole. We haven't found the manhole yet, but there's a catch basin grate there where it goes into that open swale, turns into a pipe, and it turns 90 or whatever, it went out through the yard. I didn't have any plans on any of our old DPW yard plans or anything showing it going over to a catch basin in the yard or a manhole, but it must have, because
Question, did that catch basin that's right there, it shows on the plan one invert coming from the one next door. Did you get into that yet or look into it? Because after we talked, I went over there and looked at it with Tom, and I looked at the plan and I saw that it had one invert. So it looked like it was coming in maybe from there, but not going out through the site. So I don't know where. It would seem like it looks like there's a drain line that goes, maybe ours was going his way. And
well, he has a plan.
That's actually our land, isn't it, that he leases?
Well, I think he leases a piece of it out behind where it actually abuts like the old dump hill. Because he needed X amount of feet to be able to run, square footage to be able to run a transfer station, the state. So he leases like, I don't know, what is it, 10 foot by 100 and something feet of the back of his property. But this is where it directly abuts his, our land and his land. He has, now it was full of water every time I went there, so I haven't looked at it this week, but he has one catch basin, and I believe that one catch basin on his property only has one pipe going out. That one pipe goes towards our yard. And I'm thinking there's a manhole that's buried there because there's a catch basin frame with an open pipe going into it, and that's the swale. And then I think at some point over there might be a manhole where they both turn and go into the DPW. I talked to I'm going to stuff a jet machine into the pipe on his side, and stuff it into that pipe and just see where the jet goes. If it goes 10 feet and stops, we'll hear it. It'll be in a manhole.
I think there's a few different ways to figure out, trace everything wherever it's going. Right. We should document that. And then we can also engage the engineer if we need to. If they need to proof the design and check to see if there's anything that they can, if it's on your property, then if it's your issue, then I think it's worth solving. Obviously, you need to solve it. But if it's on their property, then
Well,
I don't know if it's
right, and I get it that, it's probably been like there for 50 years,
Yeah.
whatever. It was probably a handshake. Oh yeah, put your pipe here, that's fine. Just go out and not catch basin. But the issue now is even if we plugged his pipe that came over towards our property, we still have the issue of the water that goes in the swale and needs to go somewhere. Even if we, I get it that, although I'm sure he won't be thrilled if we tell him, like, you have to keep your drain water on your property. You can't be collecting, especially from a transfer station, letting your drain water go into a catch basin and then out through our property, because now ours is going to be essentially like a closed system. It's not going to leave the site, right? So,
More importantly, what are we bringing into it?
well, that's my point. Yeah. So,
Well, right now, the silt fence is actually overrun in this picture. I mean, it's not even containing the water.
right, and right where it's sunk down low there, where you can see the silt fence dipped, that's where the break is.
Yep.
Did you see those, Frank? In your text.
Yeah, so I'd say that something should be done.
So this is
Conservation
Right,
also just want to have it.
but so that's Joe's yard right there on the other side of those bushes.
Can we charge for water view?
That's the salt shed. Back corner of the salt shed is the swale.
My backyard after
Yeah.
Is it
I mean,
really?
obviously we've been getting heavy rains, and that's like
Charlie puts
the other side of the salt shed where we keep our sand pile.
Did you see that, Dan?
That's the other side.
You can swipe.
Right,
Building, just the other building was over here.
right.
Oh, yeah.
And
Well,
that's the
we've
swale.
had an extraordinary amount of rain
Oh yeah,
in the
yeah.
last few months.
Well, even when.
I'm sorry I had confused that with what we talked about earlier, Bruce, which was the guy on the other side of the
But you can
police
swipe.
station.
Right.
There's a bunch of
Right.
That's,
Remember Mr. Murphy? He's back.
no, those are just there. They're not used for anything.
I don't know.
The
What's
storage. These
Those are just
storm
stocked
drain things.
for the site. They'll be
Yeah.
they'll
Use
be
like,
installed on the site somewhere. I just was showing that's the salt shed in the background that you look at,
right, yeah.
and behind that salt shed is the open drain swale.
They're just trying to acclimate them to water right now. That's what they're storing.
In those structures, typically where we have a sand pile, we moved it out of there. But
Yeah.
that's where we usually keep just straight sand.
You can swipe.
Yeah, it
There's
looks
more
like-
pictures there.
It looks like from this, they invert at the end of the swale.
Now, what's that water? 2 feet deep, maybe? Foot deep? 2 feet?
Whereabouts? Behind the trailer?
It was on the other
Oh,
side of
that's
the salt
probably like 10 inches deep.
How much?
Probably 10 inches,
Oh, okay.
or maybe a foot. I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be good to clean it out just to confirm like
See, yeah,
these inverts and everything are
pictures.
right. That there's the same
Pictures
amount
to
of
look at the
pipes
others.
shown in this plan and whatever else. And we could always get
Yeah, there's more.
either you guys or maybe would be the right folks to do it, or we bring them in, but to do like a test pit around that area and
Yeah,
see
well,
if we
that's-
pick up anything.
That growth
you know?
Yeah.
thing is wetland.
But it looks
Material
like
anyway.
to me the
That's even,
catch basin that's on
so
site
put on
going
18,
their way
and towards people
to
now.
another one
Left-hand
close
side,
to the property
like-
line.
Yep.
10, 9 tails.
Yep.
That's a wet,
It's
how was
invert
that?
77.
That's basically
and it
the
goes
same
invert
thing.
78. So it's going down.
And this
right?
looks
So
like
it's going,
they
what's
put
that?
bags around it. Did we do that or it's been there?
77 to 78. It's coming this way.
So
Now would be the time to look at that.
oh yeah, because if,
Yeah, we gotta clean it up.
if that's going to be all paved that area or whatever that's going to be, it's gonna flood the salt
Was
shed.
that
That's all we're gonna bring insect, flies, mosquitoes, everything.
so before the trailers? That was woods, right? It says it looks like it was woods in the drawings, right? Just
Yeah, it was like we
trees.
stockpiled some granite over there. It was
Yeah.
high grass in
Okay.
the summer, and but that's where we stockpiled like granite and structures. Some of the structures like you guys
Understood.
have.
Yep.
Now, is that a low area?
Yeah,
What if we fill it in?
I think that's the limit of work.
Huh?
it's low now, but the final grade is probably
Oh, the actual.
going to be up higher. So it's a low spot now because
Yeah.
we ripped the trees out and it's just
Yeah.
sloping down that way. But I think we should review the grading with the engineer.
Yeah, better to solve it now.
Yeah.
Did they take down the old hose shed? You know, the
Yes.
fire, that's done?
So we'll take that information and send it to the engineer and see
Okay.
if we can get him out here and can get to start the ball rolling.
When is the green building coming down? The original?
When they're ready to occupy the other one.
Oh, the one out front.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna have a moment of silence when that comes down. That's been there a long time.
Yeah, we're not gonna save the burned timbers.
I mean, you still have a lot of you still want to keep the phasing the way it is, right? I mean, at one point I think there was just a brief discussion about if you were to.
Lead waste to the site.
Yeah, no, I think we have to
Yeah.
keep that phasing the way it was originally planned. We're still operating out of it. You know, we have
Yeah.
equipment at the armory and repairing vehicles at the armory, but we're
Simple solution, Bruce, change the locks on the armory and take it over.
we pretty much have
Push all that red stuff out.
shiny red trucks.
All right. Well, like I said, this is really the time to deal with that because the site's raw right now. Time to do it. Anything else?
Next meeting.
Well, next meeting will be first Monday and
Check on the guy.
second Monday, I'm sorry, in July.
July 8th, 5 p.m.
Do,
Does that work for people?
Next meeting?
I think we should keep them the same, but
well, it won't work for me, but don't hold it up for me. I'll be in Vermont.
I think this time of year, you're gonna have people vacationing all over the place.
Absolutely.
It only makes sense to just stay on the.
Just stay on,
Oh, you sent-
stay on the track and, you know, if we need to, we can always do a remote connection.
Dan will hook it up.
So on July 8th, I have, first thing on my agenda is Trap Week, second is DPW meeting.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to adjourn if there's no further business.
Oh,
Is
we
there-
decided what we're gonna have next meeting?
July 8th.
July 8th, okay.
You know, if we have issues that might require the expertise of the architect, we should think about those things in advance of the meeting and then maybe make sure he's available to attend.
Yeah.
I thought we were gonna have a big issue this week, but fortunately it worked itself out. So we're steady on the path as it goes, yes.
Well, I think it helps to have the weekly meetings, right?
It does,
On
definitely.
Well, we have representatives.
We've solved a lot of problems in the weekly meetings that would have been difficult in this setting.
Right.
So definitely. And, you know, not all of us are always available for those, so it's good that we have a blended group. So there's always one of us there that can provide the input that's necessary if it's needed. I've missed more meetings this year than I have in my last 20. So, but I'm working on it. Well, I don't see anything else, so since there's a motion on the floor and it's not debatable, all in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
We are adjourned at 5:44 PM.
Thank you.